chilling with the king. If you wanna come and get it, let the outlaw get you out your seats. You want sports talk, politics? He don't give a shit. Everyone says speak, follow it. About to issue y'all a masterclass. You wanna pass? Gunslinging the new podcast, eat candy ass. Grab a toss bench, get information. It's your boy John Roker. Welcome to the Outlaw Nation.
All right, welcome everybody to this week's The Outlaw Nation podcast. I am your host, John Roca, a.k.a. The Outlaw, and I got a special guest this week. We've been talking about this for months, ever since he was on last, this idea, and we were waiting for this final shoe to drop. We were waiting for Kyrie to get signed, and then we were going to do this promised NBA podcast where we go back and take a look at the entire free agency and see what this means for these NBA teams going forward. It is official. The NBA is a 12-month league. It is officially a 12-month league, right?
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
This has been the craziest offseason that I can remember.
I agree with you 1,000%. I've never been so involved every day at reading all these articles about it on ESPN or NBA or Bleacher Report or wherever I go.
And upset when it goes like 2-3 days and you're like, nothing?
Yeah.
Nobody's got anything to break.
Right.
It's just you get so gluttonous.
Yeah.
Like, because there are days which just like 5 things came out today and 3 of them are amazing.
Right.
The other 2 are no slouches. They're still great. But this one is just one of the best. Like, I can't believe, holy shit, this happened too.
Nothing has made me want to write for a sports thing more than this. Than this situation.
Dude, Kyrie,
Yeah.
Chris Paul,
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward, Paul George, and who am I missing? Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler.
Have all changed teams.
Yeah. It's insane.
5 all-NBA players, 2 of which the 1 and 2 teams from the Eastern Conference traded.
Yeah, traded their
That
top
doesn't
point guards.
happen.
No, it never happens.
No.
Can you imagine trading? What would be back in the 80s? What would it be? Who would you trade? Like Dennis John? Oh, no, I guess you wouldn't. I guess point guards weren't really like.
It'd be like the equivalent of Pistons trading somehow like Joe Dumars for Scottie Pippen.
There you go.
And
Or Kevin McHale for James Worthy.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be something like that, right?
Something like that, where it's like a second banana to this other guy, but he's pretty great himself.
Or you trade Jason Kidd for Steve Nash. Like you do that trade if you're doing point guard heavy situations in the 90s. Yeah, that would be
point guard's tougher because it's usually the face of the franchise.
Exactly.
If they're good.
Well,
so switch 2.
Isaiah, in essence, was the face of the franchise.
Kind of,
for the
but he
Celtics.
never was.
Not like Bird, no.
No, but at the same time, like, you could tell that they weren't going to max him unless they absolutely had to max him.
Especially after that hip injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hip injury, plus he is listed at 5'9".
Right.
So he's probably 5'7.5" or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's 29, so he's a quick twitch muscle.
Yeah.
That's his skill.
Yeah.
That and palming a ball.
Right.
Those are his 2. That's what he does.
By the way, that's Matt Knost.
Yeah, I'm Matt Knost.
Yeah, he's my guest for the show. We're just going to be talking about pretty much all NBA and stream of consciousness stuff that comes up as we're talking about it. But yeah, like I agree with you that this thing with Isaiah is, and Matt is saying this as a Chicago Bulls fan, so he's needling him a little bit about palming the
Not
ball.
really, because like AI traveled too.
Oh yeah, my God.
Yeah, he palmed the ball, and like to me though, Thomas. Yes, last year you had a top 10 efficiency like offensive game for the season, top 10 of all time of any individual player.
Right.
It's truly amazing. But at the same time, like I think you could plug a lot of guys into that situation and they could get somewhat of those numbers. Not to depreciate what you did because that is still amazing.
No one else is getting the shots.
Yeah.
No one else is taking the offensive load.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the pressure's all upon him, and he did it in the clutch so many times. I mean, he was Mr. Fourth Quarter for a lot of last season. I don't know why I just turned into a really crappy Boston accent. A lot of last season.
He's the best player since Bud.
Yeah. But so 5'9", 29-year-old, do you really want to give him a 5-year contract when I think his prime is going to be done by 33 max?
Exactly. And this is a great move for the Cavaliers all around because
excellent move
they get younger, they get a draft pick, and if LeBron leaves, they can rebuild already, and they still have Love tied for another 2 years. So this whole idea, and Isaiah could be off the books in 2 years as well, so they completely start all over with all this cap room.
1 year. It's this
1
next
year.
season,
Sorry,
and he is up, and he's only making like $6 million or something.
Exactly. He's very affordable
and
guy.
Crowder is ridiculously affordable.
Yeah, and great defender. Jay does a better job on defense.
He'll mix in well with them.
Yeah.
Like they did well for themselves. That was the best deal on the table. I just didn't think they would take it. I figured they'd take Phoenix.
Right.
Because it's not their competitor, and they're still getting Bledsoe, who is friends with LeBron.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if they were going to get this year's draft pick, but they wanted a future as well.
And I think Bledsoe is better on defense than Kyrie. Kyrie's a sieve on defense,
Yeah,
man.
well, so is
Or
Thomas.
sieve, rather. Yeah,
Thomas is even
exactly.
worse.
Neither one of those two are going to be. Yeah, you're essentially exchanging.
You are.
Almost the same skill level for another person with a skill, but like the difference is that one has a brighter future at this point.
He does.
Than Isaiah does.
Yeah, his ceiling is still a lot higher. Plus, I think if he gave a shit, he could be a pretty decent defender.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Whereas Isaiah is limited just by his size. Mm-hmm. You're only going to be so effective because the guy can just fucking reach over the top of you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. I just remember when Isaiah was an afterthought in Sacramento, dude. I remember when he wasn't even like Boogie Cousins drove him out of town because he couldn't work well with him, right?
Yeah.
And Isaiah was like surplus to needs.
He
in
went to Phoenix,
right? Yeah.
And Phoenix didn't make any fucking sense
Nope.
that offseason because they signed 3 point
Three
guards.
PGs. What are you going to do with 3 PGs?
Yeah, exactly. But Thomas, I liked coming off Sacramento, so I was like, that was a smart move because
Yeah.
you're underpaying him, and even if he doesn't pay off, his contract is so nothing that it doesn't even fucking matter.
Yeah.
And at that point, the salary cap hadn't gone up, so the projection was it'll be fine in 2 seasons. Like this,
Yeah.
what seems like a lot now to a guy that's a backup point guard is absolutely nothing. I think it's, once again, like $6-7 million. It's nothing now.
Yeah.
In the context of Nerlens Noel just walked away from 17.5 per year. Are you fucking kidding me, Nerlens? You can't shoot.
Yeah.
You literally can't shoot unless it's 3 feet inside the rim. But you're a crazy athlete and you're a great defender.
Yeah.
And maybe you could develop a post game, but you can't walk away from 17.5.
It makes no sense.
Doesn't.
No, right? I don't. At the end, he's going to get like 11, if that.
Who knows? But the problem is because the cap is stabilized.
Yeah.
Now people are going over luxury taxes again and whatnot. So
Yeah.
if somebody's offering you 17.5, I would take that money.
Well, yeah, true, absolutely. No matter what team it is, You want to count those. You want to count the ducats, man. That's what it's all about. Like at that stage, at that situation with someone like
Yeah.
him. But this speaking of luxury tax, this whole trade also helps Cleveland in that way. Their luxury tax dropped.
It's like $30 million.
Yeah,
comes
almost
off.
$30 million. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great move by this Kobe Altman guy who stepped in for David Griffin. And, of course, it's a miracle. Like, what's his face? Dan Gilbert. He's a lucky son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah, because by all accounts, Griffin should have stayed.
Yep.
And everybody seemed to like him in the league. You may have questioned trading away 2 firsts for Mozgov, but they won a title that year when they got him.
Right.
So the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
Or the means justify the ends, rather. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, they technically got everything they needed, which is to stay relevant now, plus have something for the future. But
Yeah.
the problem is I don't think that Brooklyn pick is going to be 1, 2. There's a lot of teams that are incentivized to be terrible.
Yes.
And especially in the East.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams at the top, and then everybody else is like, we don't have anybody, and why would we try?
Yeah, and I don't know what my Wizards are going to do because they've stayed pat and they picked up a couple of guys, but they're all
You're not
guys.
gonna win it.
Yeah, no way. Mike Scott is not going to be the thing that puts us over the top.
No.
Those kinds of things. And all we did was get older. All we did was get old. Gortat's another year older.
Yeah.
I know Morris is a good player, and I know we've got
But
Bradley
you also
Beal. Obviously.
secured Porter.
Right, we secured Porter, which is great. So, but where's our bench? And that's the thing, dude. We got great 3 starters, but we need that bench. And even when the rotations get tight in the playoffs, you still need somebody who's going to come in
need
and
8
spark
guys.
them. Yeah.
You need 8 to 9 guys in the playoffs.
Who saw Olynyk beating us in Game 7? What the fuck was that all about? But that's what happens when your rotation is deep enough. These guys get enough playing time in the season.
Yeah.
They can step in the playoffs in crunch time when you're not planning for them. Because you don't think they're going to do anything in a Game 7,
Yeah.
and then they shock the world. That happens all the time in the playoffs.
Because they've gotten in. It's like the Popovich.
Yeah.
Where my guys only play a certain number of minutes, and and some nights I'm taking the loss.
Right.
I'm fine with that. I could give a damn what our record is, as long as it's going to get us into the playoffs and we have a good shot of winning.
Yeah.
So we don't need to kill ourselves to make first place or whatever the case is. We need to get X number of guys playing time and actually try different combinations and roll out different lineups to figure out, okay, when we're playing like this lineup seems to do best. Just to
Right.
tinker and figure out which combinations of guys work best together.
Yeah.
And Brad Stevens is good with that. This team is so crazy interesting in that
Yeah.
There's
Talk about
one-
this. Talk about this. Yeah.
there's 1 starter, I believe, remaining from the Eastern Conference Finals.
4. Not one star. One starter
On Boston.
4 players.
Yeah.
Left from that team that went to the finals.
there you go.
Or
Oh,
the
no.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a completely different team. Now they're kicking themselves because had they held on to Bradley,
Oh yeah.
and you have him at the 2, and you got Gordon at the 3, and then Jaylen Brown would come off the bench, or whatever. If you're going truly small ball, you roll out those 4 plus Horford.
Horford, yeah.
And you're like, shit, there's a lot of scoring out there, a lot of defensive flexibility. Like Bradley is shown that he can do this shit in the playoffs in big moments. He has no problem. Yeah. So if you had him as a defensive stopper that could take out anybody, whoever the badass it is, Kyrie can't guard, that team is tough.
Yep.
Now they don't have him. So that makes them flawed.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if this trade necessarily is a great step forward for Boston. Like, you get a guy like Kyrie, absolutely. So maybe free agents will want to come play with you. Maybe he wins a championship in the next 3 or 4 years as a Boston Celtic. Certainly,
perhaps.
If they re-sign him. It's certainly possible. But
the Warriors can't win forever. These are all young guys.
Right.
Can you get Kyrie to re-sign with you if you build enough of a culture and show him, hey, listen, you're 25 or 24, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Hayward's roughly the same age. Horford is a little bit older, but what he does now at this point is like Boris Diawian timeless.
Right.
You can do those things for a long time in this league because you're effective at it.
Yep.
So
just ask Zach Randolph, who's still in this fucking league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he's pretty unstoppable in 2-3 different spots on the court. Doesn't matter how old he is.
Yep.
He's going to take you.
Yeah.
So you combine the right amount of veterans and young guys around that team. That team could be lethal for 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and it's a great culture. Boston's a great culture.
Yeah.
And it's a great move for Kyrie in terms of his brand as well, leaving a small market team to go to a big market team like Boston with that kind of legacy in the NBA. It's a smart move. Mm-hmm. Now we'll see what he does. And I think he looks good in the green. I think he'll be great. I think he'll be great as a Celtic.
It's super interesting.
Yeah, he's got that swagger too. That a lot of Celtics players have not had this side of Antoine Walker, right? He's got that swag, or Paul Pierce, like he's got that kind of swag. Like, so Boston needs that in their players now to compete in the league. I think this is a great situation. On the flip side, though, what do you think this does for Cleveland? Does this just does it really plug any holes other than you get a decent exchange for Kyrie? Like, you get you get the pick, and you get that one player, the European player that everyone's talking. Yeah, who knows?
I don't know. Until I see him, I can't tell you. He was drafted, like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And everybody loved him in the draft. What the fuck does that mean? They also love Darko Milicic and Ji Yanling. You know what I mean?
God,
that dude posts up a fucking folding chair like nobody's business. Thank you, Bill Simmons, for pointing that out.
Yes.
He was the first one I ever heard say that, and then I watched the video and was like, I don't know how you assess someone's talent watching this. You just assume the scouts, they watch so much more basketball that they can inherently see, but I watch a decent amount, nowhere near what they do, but I don't know how you can assess somebody's talent, but they're posting up a fucking folding chair.
Exactly.
It presents no challenge.
But does this team go to the finals, Eastern Conference Finals?
Sure.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference Finals, no problem.
Okay. Even with LeBron. I mean, even with just Isaiah.
Yeah,
will they share the ball? That's the thing.
I think Isaiah will be more happy to share the ball because he's got LeBron with him.
Okay.
Because Kyrie still wants to prove I am good enough to take a team to the finals.
Yes, he does.
And hypothetically, he's not wrong.
It's the Russell Westbrook situation. It feels very similar to the Russell Westbrook situation.
Although Westbrook seems more honest to me.
Yes.
Like when he says I am going to do this, you inherently believe that man is so dedicated to that specific goal that he will do anything, damn near break his neck. To achieve that goal.
I've never seen anyone more
not
driven.
Like that.
Yeah.
It's like Kobe and Jordan on steroids.
Yeah, with Iverson, with a little Iverson peppered in. Absolutely, it's what I love about him, man. And so I just wonder. I guess they'll be competitive. Yeah, and they'll probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
They will. They'll probably make the finals again.
Yeah.
I mean,
but to get slaughtered again, like it'll be the Buffalo Bills situation all over again.
Well.
Man.
So if they roll out Crowder out there and somehow he has a rejuvenation like a little bit, takes it back up a tiny bit. So now their defensive ability improves.
Yes.
Better than what it was last year.
He's a tough player, Jay. I like him.
And so you're making up a little bit there. You roll him out with what? Love, Thomas, LeBron, and then are you going to put Love as your center, or are you going to bring out Thompson as center and shift Love to the 4, or I would bring out another shooter.
Yeah, I would too. I wouldn't have Thompson in as my center at all.
I would
not. He's a fading dinosaur for this kind of thing, man. Because his points are shit. He's averaging what? He averages under 10 points.
If he doesn't get rebounds, he has no value on the court.
Absolutely zero, which is why in the finals it was a waste.
Yeah,
he had one good game. And that's ridiculous, So, it's frustrating why you have a guy like that. I feel like LeBron's on a shit situation, which is why it's very clear he's leaving.
It's a situation he put himself in.
Yeah, true. Very true.
I mean,
same thing with Miami. They aged quickly, right?
His sports management company is the representative of Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that held him out and got this absurd number that is now handicapping
That's
him.
70
and,
whatever million.
Yeah, he was the one that demanded they trade for Kevin Love.
Right.
And he is the one that just like brought on all these older guys, and now there's no future. Well, you mortgaged your future for the now, and now the now is coming. You got to pay the piper.
Yeah, and they only went after the old guys is because that's all they could afford because they paid out all this money for all these other people, right? I mean, the fact that they were going to be $79 million over the tax, that's madness, dude.
And know the best they're going to do is second place.
Second place.
Because they can't. Nobody can compete with the Warriors.
Right.
So until I see it, the West got a lot more interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So with Paul George.
Who do you like of the new team? So are you thinking OKC is going to make the best jump? Do you think Houston, with adding Chris Paul, is going to make the best jump?
I think if Houston doesn't add Carmelo, they're not going to make the best jump.
Okay.
I think that because that's still in play, and I didn't want to wait for the Carmelo situation for us to have this conversation. I've been chomping at the bit.
I don't know if that resolves
Anytime soon.
No.
Right. And it may, now that this shoe has dropped, maybe. But I don't think it makes any sense until if Carmelo goes to Houston, then there's possibilities there for them to make the leap. But for me, I think Oklahoma City is absolutely 1,000% better than they were last year because it isn't just Russell carrying the scoring load anymore now. He has someone he trusts, and it isn't going to hog the ball like Kevin did.
Does he trust him?
I think he will develop a trust with him because PG's a spot-up shooter. So he doesn't need to put him in the flow of the game necessarily. Like KD likes to have the ball and bounce it around, do his one-on-ones. Paul George has that element to his game, but he's a great spot-up shooter. So you can just pass him the ball in the right spots, and he's just dropping them. Just dropping them. And Russell will do that because he'll drag the defense towards him, break down the defense, and dish it out to Paul, and Paul's going to nail those shots.
But don't you think that, talking about Durant needing to be by himself with the ball, that's a byproduct of being in a system where Scott Brooks sets it up and goes, all right, this possession is Russell's, this possession is Durant's. And Durant has now proven, look, you put me in an offense where we pass, and pass is the primary option to find the most strategic goal. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
And succeed at it because now you guys know I'm a fucking cold-blooded killer.
He really is, man.
He is.
He proved it. Like, and I can bash the Warriors all day, talking all the stuff they're talking.
See, I can't.
I can because don't swagger when you got 5 scorers on your fucking team. I get it. You're a great team.
But they drafted all of those except one.
Except one, yeah.
They only added one in free agency. So why are we going to get pissed at a team for doing it the right way?
All right.
Well, it's like getting upset with Boston for now. They got all those Brooklyn picks, and now they've turned those Brooklyn picks into other assets assets, and now they've gotten to this. They've managed what they have exceedingly well.
I guess you're right, dude.
I can't hate them. I wish my team was them.
I just don't like the swagger.
Yeah, no, I get you. Draymond Green can drive me up a wall, but at the same time, I still respect it. I was thinking about the other night. That guy is a Hall of Famer now, almost deadlocked.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just a few more years and he'll be deadlocked.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He gets one or two more All-NBAs. He'll make the All-Star game for sure, be in the running for another Defensive Player in the Year, and they're going to be in the championship mix, if not win it the next 2 years.
Right.
That dude's now a Hall of Famer.
Someone was saying, wouldn't it be insane if next year LeBron goes to Golden State?
Never happened.
And I'm like,
Never happened.
Where? Like, what do you do? Drop Draymond?
No, LeBron would have to take a pay cut.
Yeah, well, sure.
It's the only way to do it. I'm taking, like, you coming in for cheap.
Yeah.
Like $10 million a year or something ridiculous.
Cheap in terms of
Yeah.
LeBron, yeah.
We'll figure out a home for Sean Livingston and for whoever miscellaneous parts that we have
Iguodala,
on. Yeah, Iguodala, and we'll bring you on, and we can afford $14 million.
Yeah.
I can't give you 32.
I don't know. Do you think he's going to... Oh, I'm sorry. Let's stay in the West. So, okay, what about you? Who do you think's made the biggest leap?
Can CP3 and Harden coexist?
Yeah, this is an interesting situation, man.
That's where... Because that team, to me, is a bigger threat than OKC. Just because those two guys seem more like generals, and Westbrook just seems more like a missile. So the generals can direct and, hey, you go here. And Westbrook can do those things, but at the same time, he is a battering ram.
Yes.
And that's how he approaches the game of, I'm going to run past you, I'm going to run through you, I'm going to run around you.
Yeah.
And if they can figure out how to coexist to where they're both happy, it's going to be like Harden's going to have to take a few less shots.
Yep.
And he's used to the offense running entirely through him. And why have Chris Paul on your team if you're not going to let him orchestrate, because he's one of the best I've ever seen do it.
And you have to figure that Chris James approved this. Like James is they must have gone to him, but like we're looking at Chris. like, will you be able to function? Will you be able to play less shots? Will you be able to get
Yeah, I mean, they were on the Olympic team together.
Right. But this whole logic of Morey's is because he saw James break down in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I can't keep putting this load on him all the way through the whole sequence. So this does help, but I think they're still missing shooters, man. I think they're still missing some kind of just a stronger presence. I don't know. Chris Paul's never been to the finals. He's never taken a team to the conference finals, I don't think.
No, he hasn't.
So, like, what kind of experience are we getting here? Do you know what I'm saying? They choked away that 3-1 lead against Houston with Chris Paul on the floor the whole time. So, like, do they have that mental? Can they make that marriage work? And do they have the mental strength to carry them through the hard times? Or will they start pointing fingers? You know, Paul's known. I mean, that's one of the things that Blake and all those guys hated with Chris is that Chris was not shy about giving you his opinion of how shitty you're playing, you know?
But at the same time, like, so if you think OKC's going to be better, like first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, Paul George gets on his team. Was it Miles Turner that took the last second shot? And he was like, I got to be the one that takes that shot.
Yeah.
That's what they pay me the big bucks for. It's just like, okay, well, statistically speaking, I believe you're the worst in the current NBA at shooting that shot.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe you've taken the most and missed the most of those.
It was 21% or something like that.
Yeah, it's something really bad.
Yeah.
And Westbrook, sure, shit feels like that.
Yes.
And now that he's an MVP, he gets that right.
Yeah.
On that team. I mean, George, you are going to his team.
He's the alpha dog. Russell is the alpha dog. Absolutely.
Hands down. So can George now take the secondary role? Can he learn how to play and know that he's not the primary option?
Yeah.
Is he willing to recognize that Russell is a better player?
Well, I think it's also a smart move for Paul because Paul gets out of Indiana, which was definitely a sinking ship.
Yep.
And he gets to be with a guy who's dynamic to play with.
Sure.
You may get frustrated. You may hate it. You know, I'm sure he probably reached out to Kevin Durant, maybe had a conversation. Well, what's it like to play with this fucking guy? Yeah. All that kind of stuff. And if it doesn't work out, you get to go to LA. You get to go to the Lakers or something. Like he gets that out after
a finite amount of time.
Yeah. And so to me, it's a smart move all around for Paul George. The Chris Paul situation, I just wonder, man. I just wonder. Who's going to be the two? Are they going to play them together? Who's going to be the two?
Well, you'd have to stagger it so one is on the court at all times.
Right.
So they will play together some, and then, you know, Paul's the older player, so maybe he takes the bench earlier or something like that. But yeah, because Harden had a habit of, instead of coming out like the last 2 minutes of the first half or something like that, he would basically just demand to stay in.
Yeah.
Thinking, what's the harm in it? Well, that's 2 minutes of game action. By the end of the game, that 2 minutes could be where your energy reserves went.
Yeah.
And it's little stuff like that. It'd be like, you need to learn to understand, no.
Right.
You can't go in for the betterment of the team and for the win. You can't be selfish wanting to be out there. I know it's fun. I know that's where you thrive, but we need you the entire game, not 3.5 quarters of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting, because the West is just a fucking bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
So many teams, like Portland in the East would be probably third, fourth, fifth best team, somewhere in that mix.
Yeah, with Dame. Yeah, that's true.
And they may not make the playoffs if certain things go against them.
Sure.
You know, maybe Sacramento makes a leap this year with the offseason acquisitions they've got and the young guys with Buddy Hield, and maybe he's better, and they somehow squeak into the 8th seed.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but maybe.
Sure.
Hypothetically, they got what? VC plus Zach Randolph?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You got a little veteran presence, a little veteran leadership there.
Exactly.
It might put you over the hump.
Guys
you
that
never
can
know.
shoot clutch shots when you need them to. Maybe the young guys do all the running around and the bulk of the scoring.
Exactly. And that rookie they picked up, I think the Fox kid,
De'Aaron Fox?
De'Aaron Fox, he is super fucking pissed he got drafted that
quick.
low. Yeah. And he's going to be great to watch in Sacramento. And
it's
Buddy
like
Hield,
a junior John Wall.
Yep. And Buddy Hield is gonna. He is definitely going to have a renaissance on that team. Like, cause
maybe
everyone thought he was going to be so great coming into that situation, and then he got traded, and now it's like he got a chance to have some good games last year with Sacramento. I think this is set up perfectly for him to really shine if he can. Yeah. What do you think about the Lakers situation, man? Do you think there's anything there, like with this ball kid and everything? Like, we're still a year or two away.
Oh, from him being a star?
No. I mean, from people coming to play and then really taking them to the next level.
Yeah. Why not see how he does under an entire season?
Yeah.
Because it's weird. If LeBron does want to go there, it seems as though he wants nothing more than to punch Ball Sr. in the face. And I can't blame him.
Yeah, no, of course not.
If he was talking that shit about my kids,
and
I was in his position, be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Right.
Like, I love the Jordan. Like, I could beat him. What was it, with one arm?
Yeah, one leg.
Or one leg, yeah. And I would. I'd bet my life on that. Ellis put out a great tweet about it. It's like, I would rather, instead of paying the money for Mayweather McGregor, I'd rather pay for Ball Jordan. I'd be like, I'd pay that $100 just to see this dude get his ass handed to him so he can shut up.
Oh my God.
Although, why would Jordan waste his time?
No.
Like, even if the purse was $150 million, that may give him pause. But the guy's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Does he really want to do this for that? Maybe.
Did you see him and Scotty reunite at that? That was great at his camp. There's a video, it's 18-minute video on YouTube where he brought out Scotty to his camp and they reunited and did some two drills. Two drill. I was like, man, I love that team, dude.
Trust me, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, I was not. I didn't. I'm not from Chicago. I didn't grow up a Bulls fan. When I fell in love with Jordan, and I fell in love with Scotty. Like those guys, that's teamwork, man. That's what I love about basketball, man. It's fucking the ultimate in teamwork. It really is.
Yeah.
Football is individual, and Russell can be individualist too. But like teams are what you remember, right? That's why people love Golden State so much. It's teamwork.
It's when a good team is clicking.
Yeah.
It's unlike any other sport because you can see the magic happening before you.
Yes.
Of like, they've played together so much that he is passing this ball 5 feet ahead of where anybody else sees it because he knows exactly this is the spot he likes to get it when he's running down this lane and the defender's on his right hip and shit like that. Just like we played together so much. I know exactly where he's going to be at all times.
Yeah.
Even if we change this offense or like on defense, I don't give him help unless it's in this specific situation and vice versa. Like on these things, you gain a knowledge in what someone is, what they peak at and what they don't, so how to best cover the other.
Right.
And when it's perfect, it is a symbiotic relationship where they just complement each other so well.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Yeah, those are great. Let me switch gears with you for a second, Matt. What about the San Antonio Spurs? Now, they really didn't do much, it seems like, and they didn't get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge like they were trying to get rid of him.
Because they were asking for too much.
Yeah, they really were. So he comes back to this team where it seemed like he wasn't wanted. And you have Kawhi Leonard doing his thing as a star, but like, do they have enough to get? They're always good, but do they have enough to get to the the Western Conference Finals? And do they have enough to beat the Warriors? Because they beat them by 20. They were winning by 20 points before what's his face got injured in the first game. And,
I still think the Warriors win that.
I agree.
It might have taken them 6 games.
Sure.
Maybe 7, perhaps.
They'd have worn them out eventually, yeah.
Yeah, they just have too many options.
They really did.
Do I think they can make the Western Conference Finals? Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Do I think they can make it to the championship? No.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think anybody's taking it from Golden State and you're in the same conference. And until I see someone really challenge them to where you're like, they could give them a best of 7 series and it's interesting to where I don't know the outcome of that.
Right.
I haven't seen that yet because how do you defend this team?
Yeah.
That's... You take away this weapon, that's fine. There's 3 more on this side.
Yeah.
And when we sub in guys, we know precisely what they're good at and what they're not good at. So Kerr is really good with, figuring out the best, most optimal lineups or taking chances and trying guys in situations and allowing his guys to, he's a former player, so he knows like this guy's feeling it, not feeling it. This lineup seems to be working and I can't put my finger on it, but why? But I've watched enough basketball to know this is a working chemistry. Until I see them lose.
Yeah.
To a degree where it's just like you got dismantled. Like into the season and you brought your A, national television, it's a meaningful game, and somebody just picks you apart. Until I see that, I don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you could see that in Game 4. It took a lot of fishy officiating for...
Yeah, Cleveland to stay in it?
Cleveland stay in it, yeah, because they had it on a plate in Game 3. There was no kind of fishy shit going on in Game 3.
Yep.
But they blew it at the end going iso ball, and you saw it, like the Warriors knew how to exploit you. Kerr, who fucking saw that comment? What an incredibly intelligent coach. If his back issues hold out and he's able to heal from that and keep going with this team, we could talk about him in the same breath with Phil Jackson, with
Red Auerbach.
Popovich, with Red Auerbach. That's certainly possible. You know?
To come in and just have the right alchemy to make this team work where Mark Jackson so amazingly failed.
Yeah. Right.
Just like you had all the tools right there in front of you. Now, that being said, like Draymond Green credits Mark Jackson with being in the place he's at now.
Yes.
Just like I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity and actually grown and become the player I am had I not had him as a coach.
Well, that's what Dungy's players said on Tampa Bay, that Dungy got them to where they're going, but Gruden's the one that put them over the top. Sometimes it is the coach.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a fresh set of eyes to see you for who you really are.
Right.
And it's also like they coalesced at the right time, and Kerr was there and understood that. Like it's a beautiful marriage.
Yeah.
Right timing, right personnel, and just came together so magnificently. Like I wish I was a Golden State fan because it's a team I love watching, even though it's not my team. I don't like watching it when it is my team.
And for lack of a better term, it's a golden time. It's a golden age for them. It's the golden age for them because they've come so close with Baron Davis and yeah, right. The game has changed so much now. It's almost like technology, Matt. Like within 10 years, the game that we see now that Golden State is playing, no one could have imagined, or no one really, like other than D'Antoni, these guys who were like kind of ahead of the curve. Paul Westhead, even going back that far, who understood that scoring was the number one thing about the game, that they could exploit the offense, create offenses that could really score a lot of points. They weren't handling the stuff on the defensive side. This is where Draymond Green is what separates the Warriors from those other teams and why they're able to win championships, because they have this defensive anchor in Draymond Green who can flow with them, flow with the shooters, flow with the centers, flow with whatever is happening.
Pick and roll options you run, he can switch or stick to his man. Plus Durant played defense last year. Like he was always a good defender.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he was freed up to be an even better defender.
Yeah.
Just allowed to at times float around and go to where the action was to make his 7'1", 7'2" frame.
Yeah.
Be known. I love that he's finally admitting that he's that tall. For the longest time, he'd maintain like, no, I'm 6'10" or whatever the case is, and be like, dude, you're 7'1", 7'2". Like, go look at the draft photos of you next to Greg Oden.
Yeah.
He's just bulkier than you. There's no real size difference height-wise. Maybe Oden's an inch taller.
Right.
Like, you're a unicorn. You're something that does not come around. A 7-footer who can shoot from anywhere, is athletic and agile and amazing. Control the ball, can pass, can play defense. Like, it just does not happen. Yeah, so, I mean, the West is going to be amazing to watch. The East is going to be a shit show outside of a few teams.
Yeah. Do you think we were talking about this earlier in the summer? Like, do you think Milwaukee makes a leap this year?
Do you Milwaukee was close? They almost had the deal done at Brogdon, next year's first, and Middleton, I believe.
For
Kyrie. Wow. They got the much better deal with Isaiah Thomas. But I don't see if I'm Milwaukee. I don't do that trade. Kyrie's not what you need for a Antetokounmpo.
Not for the Greek. No, you're right. The Greek plays point, for fuck's sake.
He needs the ball in his hands to be dynamic like that.
Yeah.
So why would you bring in another guy that has that same attribute?
I agree with you, man. I don't think you make that trade either. No, as good as is to have a 25-year-old all-star.
Yeah.
Before he hits his prime, really, with a 3-point shot. I think you sacrifice the development of the Greek when you have a point guard like that.
Who could turn out to be another, if he can fix his outside shot, he's Magic Johnson and meets Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I don't think he won't be as good as Durant at Durant things. He won't be as good as Magic at Magic things.
Right.
But he will be an insane hybrid between the two.
With the little Anthony Davis thrown in there, too.
Sure.
Yeah, he's got all that combination of it.
Just a raw athleticism that he grew into finally.
And Brogdon won Rookie of the Year, so like this guy can play. That's not an issue. I just think, and I wonder if
it's not the normal bullshit rookie issue of he got a lot of points on a shit team.
Yeah,
he managed to contribute to a decent team in the East.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's enough there for Jason. I wonder if Jason Kidd is the right coach for this team, and we'll find out. I think after this season, if he can't get them into the playoffs and get them to win a series, I think he's gone. I just do because he's had 3 years now, 3 or 4 years of this team, and they can't seem to get out of the first round.
I can't remember if it's 3 or if it's 4. I want to say this is 3.
Yeah, and so they can't get out of the first round. And if you're going to sacrifice the development of the Greek and that team for him, we'll see. Middleton came on. Like they have a good. I like their team.
I like their team.
I enjoy watching them.
If Mayo can stay healthy,
OJ,
not OJ Mayo. I'm sorry. What's his name? From Chicago, but went to Duke. Was taken after Wiggins. Jabari Parker.
Oh yeah, Jabari Parker. Right.
If he can stay healthy, that is a really interesting team, and you could add veteran talent to that. Like I would,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could add all kinds of different. If you put shooters on that team that got like 3-and-D guys.
Yeah. And
a Antetokounmpo, just like wow, that's a really interesting, complex team that's difficult to defend because the Greek just poses so many different problems.
Absolutely. Speaking of this, what do you think about the Sixers now with making the moves that they've made? Do you think they're I mean, they're talking all kinds of stuff with Joel Embiid and all them talking about playoffs. They're
They'll
talking
make the playoffs.
Yeah, you think so?
If they can stay healthy, they'll make the playoffs.
Okay.
Look,
do you think they're a threat?
No.
No. Too young still.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, they're actively trying to coalesce and be better.
Yes.
And let's see, the Nets, Orlando, Chicago, the Pacers, potentially Atlanta, I guess, perhaps, maybe even the Knicks. Like, all these other teams are incentivized in the East to lose and lose big and try and be the first overall pick. Actually, the Nets aren't because they don't have their pick, but everybody else is.
Yeah.
So if we bottom out, like, that's the Bulls' whole strategy. Let's bottom out, get younger because we can't beat the Warriors right now.
Yeah.
I fucking hate how we did it. It's the dumbest process by which to do this.
Yeah.
Just giving away shit left and right. I don't fucking understand it at all.
Yeah, let's talk about that, the Jimmy Butler thing. Like, what was your feelings about that?
It started with Taj Gibson and Doug McDermott.
Right, going to Oklahoma City, yeah.
Fine, Taj is a free agent, and you want to get something for him, sure. McDermott we're already giving up on, and we have to give them a pick to get their shit in return.
Yeah.
And to get another point guard who can't shoot, can't defend, can't do anything. We got those in spades. We don't need Cameron Payne, who can't even crack a rotation when we're playing a two-guard at point in the playoffs.
Right.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's a good point.
We got rid of all that. We had to throw in a second-round pick. And then suddenly we complete, because that was to win now, to like whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Make this team better. Bullshit, utter and complete bullshit. And then you retack and say, we're building for the future. Well, we could have used that second-round pick. You could have gotten more from McDermott. And we didn't need to do a pick swap when we traded Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, fuck off. You're just giving us our pick if we're giving you Jimmy Butler. And now we get 2 picks in the first round.
Yeah.
That's a fucking trade.
Agreed.
We don't need to give you our pick to make this trade happen.
Yeah, they seem like they don't know what they're doing.
No.
Yeah.
They have numerous different strategies going on at the same time, and finally they just chose one after we just mortgaged the present and a little bit of the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know what the hell our game plan is going forward.
Yeah.
And like the guy we drafted, I went and watched his highlights, and it's all pick and pop threes for a big guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing of him rolling to the basket, a hell of a block, this amazing rebound. It is all pick and pop threes.
Right.
Just like, well, shit. I mean, can we teach him to be like a Porzingis light or something like that? I don't know. But a lot of that is drive.
Right.
If you want to be a good defender, it's just a matter of deciding I'm going to be a good defender at that level.
Right.
And the rebounding is all hustle. That's just I give a shit more than you. That's all that is. That stat is if you got a guy that gets a lot of rebounds, he may be taller, but at the same time, he's working his ass off.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. So the East is so incentivized to lose that it's just going to be terrible to watch. Like, usually I can watch just about any NBA game. And this season, there's going to be a few games where I'm just like, there's not a compelling character on either of these two teams. Like Detroit versus any of the team I mentioned.
Jesus, Detroit, man.
Don't care.
Yeah. What do they have? Like, I don't know what they, like, I don't know what Jeff's doing there or Stan's doing that. Like, I think he's same thing. I think he's 1 year away from being fired. I think he's absolutely 1 year away.
I think they should take
fired.
the GM job away from him and just make him a coach.
No coach should GM ever again.
Or whatever he is, president of basketball operations or whatever the fucking title is.
No coach should be president. Like, the track record is so terrible. Like the batting average is like the 100s for people who are successful doing both.
You just can't be out scouting enough to see, this international player, this college player, or get an objective lens to view players on opposing teams. Because otherwise you get the Doc Rivers syndrome of, that guy played great against me, let's sign him.
Yeah. What is going on there? What do you think is going to happen with the Clippers there, man? Stripping Doc and then also losing Chris Paul, but bringing in Patrick Beverly. I don't think there's anywhere close to a replacement to Chris Paul as Patrick Beverly.
They're going to be a playoff team in the 6, 7, 8 spots.
Right.
And that's the best they're going to do.
Would you have left if you were Blake? Would you have forced a trade? Or
I guess it depends on the destination. Would I have signed somewhere else?
Yeah. Would you have signed someone else?
Potentially. I mean, he's the face of this franchise. In Los Angeles, he likes to do all the extracurriculars that Los Angeles provides.
You're right.
And he's gotten a ton of ad campaigns and stuff like that. I wonder if that dries up though as the team slides more into.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
No one wants to be associated with a losing player.
Well, he's not a loser. They'll still make the playoffs. It's just they have no chance.
Yeah.
Of winning Eastern Conference Finals, let alone an actual championship.
Yeah, but I don't know if they do. I don't know if Patrick Beverley is the thing that's going to help them with DeAndre and with Blake. You needed to have someone who's gonna be an asshole to them to get them to focus. I don't think Patrick Beverley's that guy. They may tank like crazy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You just invest. You have all that money wrapped up into those two guys. You kind of want to be relevant because you need to sell the tickets, and they want to build a new stadium down in Crenshaw or something like that.
Right. And it ain't like Blake doesn't goes injury free every year.
Yeah, exactly. At this point,
yeah.
If you could have gotten away with him, coming into the offseason, the priority, as old as Chris Paul is, he has more value long-term to me than Blake Griffin does.
Yes.
Because Blake, while being younger, I think has hit his ceiling, and his ceiling is lower to me than Chris Paul's, and he is injury-prone.
He can't blow past people like he used to before.
He won't.
Bully
He's
them around.
openly said, I'm not dunking anymore.
Yeah.
I am, he's changing into a different phase of his game, and we haven't seen him be able yet. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll succeed, because his outside shot has gotten better over the years.
It has, because it's had to be.
Yeah, but he's also worked on it.
Yeah,
and he's been professional, so maybe he does. It's just, Chris Paul's game is Jason Kidd in that he could play till he's 40 if he wanted to.
Yeah.
It's like, what's his name? The journeyman point guard that was in the league for years. I always associate him with Milwaukee. Andre Miller.
Oh yeah, the professor.
Yeah. He could play well into his later years, and by when he retired, my guess is he was just kind of tired.
Yeah,
because he could have easily still backed up on a decent team.
Oh yeah,
and given you 10 minutes a night of just filling in and still running offense.
He did all right with my Wizards.
Yeah,
he did all right with.
He
my
always
Wizards.
does.
Yeah,
he always he could never lead a team just because that's not what his skill set was. His skill set was basically he's a floor manager.
Yeah,
he manages really well.
Yep.
And he could be a stopgap while your lead point guard, whoever the case is, a Chris Paulish, needs to take some time off.
Right. Well, let's stay in the West here, man. What do you think about Minnesota with the move with Jimmy Butler? Does this help? Is Thibodeau the guy that's going to take is he going to run him into the ground, or is he? Yeah.
I thought he had learned his lesson.
Nope, he didn't, did he? Last year was insane.
Those last 15, 12, whatever games.
Yeah.
His starters are still playing 38 minutes. Yeah. It's like, why? You guys are out of this.
Yes.
But to get them experience, it's not worth the injury risk.
No, of course not.
So why not just bench them and let's see what we got with these other younger guys?
Why do you think Jimmy went, though? Why do you think Jimmy went to be back under that situation where he's playing a shit ton of minutes, possibly shortening his NBA career? You don't think he had a say in his trade?
No.
Okay.
He didn't have a no trade, so it's whatever the best deal I can get.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Thibodeau pushed more than likely harder.
He did.
But they didn't give up a whole hell of a lot to get an All-NBA player.
It was really surprising what they gave up.
Nothing.
Yeah.
We gave up. I mean, granted, I understand the argument of not if the management didn't believe that Jimmy was the guy that could take us to a championship because he's about to get paid that type of money.
Yeah.
Demanded, and it's deserved.
Yeah.
You can do all the things, the rubric by which we define max player, you fit.
Yep.
I understand their point, though. I don't think a Jimmy Butler-led team can win a championship.
Yeah.
I think if he was surrounded by other alpha guys, yes, because he could be part of a component system to where he's badass at this, and he's badass at this, and he's badass at this, and they all just fit perfectly because he's definitely a pass guy. Like he could easily settle into a no problem. Let's feed the hot hand. He's a great teammate. It sucks losing him, but I mean, I like Minnesota.
Yeah, I like Minnesota too. I think there's a lot to like, and I think Glenn Taylor understands that about Jimmy Butler, which is why he's going to Wiggins, being like, "I'll resign you, but you better show me some shit.
Yeah,
you better show me how dedicated you are."
It.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's an interesting situation because he broke off with his agents. Wiggins did right after they negotiated a $130 million extension. He's like dropping his agents. And his agent was like, "Look, I get it. He's going to drop us. We're still going to get our 4%. There's no way he's going to screw us out of our money." This is very interesting drama to bring into the situation.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was yesterday on ESPN. It was a whole thing. Yeah, it was like.
Why do you get a piece of something you didn't help?
Well, they're arguing that they helped negotiate the deal, and then once they got the deal and the numbers, people came in and tampered with Wiggins and got him to fire that age so they can rehire and go another.
That's called tough shit.
Yeah, I guess, man.
Yeah, I'm not. I would hate to be you.
Yeah.
But guess what? If that's what it is, fine. Let's go retailer the deal, change up some of the structures, make it a new deal.
Yeah.
And you guys had nothing to do with it. You're not going to get your 4%. Even the best you're going to get is a settlement out of court for way less than that 4%.
Exactly. But Wiggins probably figures that out, too. For $130 million, he'll take a little bit of a hit.
Yeah, his people are telling him that. It's like, don't even sweat it.
Well,
I mean, I thought after making the Butler giving up on Rubio was a weird choice. Yeah. Although they've been trying to do it for years, but now I think he could work better with this team.
Yeah.
Because they don't need, like, his glaring lack of ability to shoot isn't so bad now when you got Cat a year older, Wiggins a year older.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Levine, so it's great that I got him on my squad. But to have just somebody out there that could be their floor general, he's really good at that and passing and finding the open man. And I think you could be like a Steve Nash light.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're interesting. Middle of the pack West, I think, is their ceiling this year.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the 4, 5, 6 maybe.
Well, I think
4 is a stretch.
Making the playoffs is a good step forward for them.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they can do, because Thibodeau is a master of defense. And if anyone can figure out the Warriors, it's Thibodeau.
Yeah. Right? Do you think Utah falls, and by how much?
Yes. I think Utah falls out of the playoffs.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. With Denver and Portland making the moves they made last year, that
Denver.
their big man stuff, like both of them got saved by making that trade.
Yeah.
Nurkic and I forget the other.
And Jokic.
And Jokic, yeah. Fucking itches.
Joker and Nurkic.
Yeah, those guys, they immediately stepped in and improved their team so much so that they were, ironically, they were battling it out for that 8th spot. So I think they're only going to get better having a little more time together now in an offseason to work together, figure out how to put the offensive system really in place for both of those people to shine. They're going to be just fine. And I think Portland deserves it because Dame is a fantastic fucking player, man. And nobody talks about it. Like, he does the commercials, and he's great at the All-Star game. But
he doesn't make the All-Star
game. He doesn't, well, right, he doesn't make the All-Star, but, like, he's great as a play, like, he's a star player, so to speak. But, like, what the fuck? They can't, this guy should be getting so much publicity, so much. He should be on a better team so he can really shine with his skills. Because he's maybe 2 or 3 years away from those skills starting to diminish.
Yeah.
So he's got to get on something quickly, man, or else it'll just be another point guard that went by the wayside, man.
I know. And not to keep harping on it, but look at all the interesting, compelling matchups and teams in the West. In the East, it's a big, I don't give a fuck outside of the top. You guys, the C's, and the Cavaliers.
Yeah, and maybe Miami, too. We should mention.
I'm not
Hassan Whiteside, no? You don't think so?
Not to be a contender.
Dion Waiters?
Fuck no. If you're relying on Dion Waiters, I know that now people all love him this year.
Waiters Island?
Yeah, Waiters Island and all that shit. I've never been a fan.
Yeah.
Just what he brings to the table is just cockiness.
I'm afraid that last year was the worst thing that could have happened to him.
Yes. Without a doubt. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
The last thing you want to give, what Simmons calls an irrational confidence guy, is the belief that he could be a confidence guy for every game.
And they're going to give him the money, and he's going to think that this is now his team.
Yep.
And just
with Wade gone and everything, yeah.
Who's going to win an Eastern Conference final with Dion Waiters as the man?
Yeah. It's
not going to happen.
Yeah. And I like Dragic as a point.
Sure.
But you need to populate that team with better shooters around him, and they don't just have it. They don't have it yet. Hassan's a great center when he's focused, when he's not getting into foul trouble and doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Hassan's a good center. You have that taken care of, but who are the guys around?
Overpaying for Tyler Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to overpay for Dion Waiters. They're going to be stuck in weird. The thing is, I can't imagine why Riley would. Because last year was unexpected. They were attempting to tank.
Yes, they were.
And Spoelstra is too good a coach.
Mm-hmm. He really is.
He is. I wanted to dismiss him early on, but the more you see him, the past 4 years, it's just like, no, this guy is a legitimately good coach. Mm-hmm. He knows how to figure out the best way to get everything that he can out of his players within that system. Like he is really good at it. And I don't buy them. And I don't buy Toronto anymore.
No.
They're too old at this point, and they've just gotten their ass handed to them too many times in the playoffs.
Fractured psyches, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
done.
The regular season doesn't matter to them at all because once they get in the playoffs, that's where the real season starts, and they shit the bed every time.
I could see, if Philly pans out right, they meet in the first round and Philly takes them out.
Well, Philly will totally take them out. Yeah. Philly's going to be fun to watch. I think
I'm going to see them play the Clippers.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, great, man.
Embiid was hurt last year when they came.
Right.
I wanted to watch him, but now you got Embiid, Simmons is back. You got Fultz. You got you had this young, super interesting, fun team who's going to be mediocre this year, but
they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, 3 years from now, they're going to be the class of the East, along with Milwaukee and potentially Boston.
Yeah. What do you think of New York's situation, man? What do you think Knicks with Porzingis making the changes they made with the president back, but removing Phil Jackson?
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. You don't think it's going to matter at all?
No, they're screwed.
Steve Mills, you don't think Steve Mills is going to make any difference?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I feel bad for Porzingis.
Why is he
wasting
staying?
his prime?
I would force a trade. I don't
think he has the leverage to force a trade right now.
Well, the fact that he didn't show up to the end of team, like that's the reason Phil got fired.
Yeah.
That is the reason, right? When your unicorn doesn't want to show up to the end of season meetings.
Yeah.
That you're not, your tenure's not long.
And Carmelo killed that team.
Yeah, he did.
So they've drafted decently considering where they've had their picks.
Yeah.
They've gotten some guys that have ended up, but like when you re-sign Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
to, I believe it was $71 million.
An astronomical number.
When
you could have kept him for like $30 million less.
Exactly. I don't understand that. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Dolan's a fucking idiot. Dolan is a
It's not even him, though, because he doesn't do any
Phil
of the day-to-day.
Phil, too. I mean, like all of them, like the whole combination of things, they're all fucking idiots for the last 3 years, man. I don't know why they can't get it right. And I don't know why Silver doesn't force him to sell the team. Because it's such he's killing the brand, dude. He's killing the brand. And people love the Knicks, man. People fucking love. To them, they're like the foundation of basketball. New York, street ball. People have that feeling. And so when you take away that vibe from a brand so beloved, I think it does your league. Mm-hmm. It kills your league, Well,
I think now that we've progressed into like everything streams, you can find it all online. You don't need the marquee talents to be in the marquee cities anymore.
Right.
As evidenced by the fact that Westbrook just won from a small market. Durant just won from there. They both have national ad campaigns.
Good point.
They're, the most famous players are not on New York and LA.
Right.
They're on Cleveland and on, all these other small, all these smaller teams.
Right.
So, it does. But, the Knicks being relevant is a more fun league.
Yeah.
It means more to me as a fan as opposed to any of the other random teams that have been just as mediocre over this past time.
Yeah.
Like, if they were suddenly good, I would care less. Like, when Atlanta made their run a couple of years ago and they had that 60-win team.
That's right.
It's like, hey, that's great, but I don't really care.
Right.
Like, even the fans in Atlanta don't care.
No, and you always knew the Cleveland was going to come in and take them out.
Yeah.
You always knew that. Or Miami. Like, it didn't matter. Like, they were going to get taken out.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah, never believed in it.
No. Same thing with Toronto. Never did.
Yeah, this is the first year, though, where the Celtics have a shot of actually winning the conference.
Yeah, I could see the Celtics in the finals. Sure.
It's plausible, whereas last year, in the past, I don't know how many years,
it's
just like whatever team LeBron is on.
I knew as soon as he had this hip injury, I was like, yeah, that's an excuse to be out of the situation. He's I know he's legitimately injured, but people play through injuries in the playoffs all the time, man. And it's like, it seemed like he...
You talking about Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas. It didn't seem like it was worth it to him.
Really?
Because he knew he was going to lose. I think he knew he was going to lose. So what was the point? You do further damage to your hip
maybe.
and shorten your career. And
True.
I think that's where the worry was.
And he needs to think about because he hasn't gotten a big payday yet. Although he still made a lot of money, but by comparison, his value is so underappreciated right now when he was an MVP in the MVP discussion.
This reminds me of the John Wall situation. When before he got paid, he was like cheap compared to the other point guards. It was frustrating.
Pissed off about it too. Be like,
oh, yeah, he was.
You weren't pissed when you signed that contract.
Nope.
Like you were happy to take the money. You took the extension.
Yeah. I'm surprised by the max choice. I'm surprised at his decision to sign the max deal with the Wizards. I wouldn't have. I would have played it out for one more year just to see what would happen and then see where I'd end up. Because you could end up in LA. You could end up in any number of places that are...
You could cherry pick your situation.
Absolutely. You could even go to the Knicks if you wanted to and kind of awaken that brand, rebuild a brand. Yeah, him and Porzingis,
that's a nucleus in the East to be relevant right there in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Bulls will be looking for a face of a franchise if you really want the money.
Good call.
And you want to play in Chicago, even though we don't have anything to surround you with. But I mean, there are numerous opportunities to do that if you want to be the man somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you can rejoin a younger timeline, because you guys are nothing.
Yeah.
It sucks. You're better than us, but that doesn't...
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the apex of your team currently It's just going to be in this window where it's irrelevant.
I do think one of the positive things come out of last season was that people can stop bitching about Scott Brooks as a coach.
Yeah.
He was able to turn us around when it looked like he was going to be fired in the first half of the season.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, first quarter at least of the season. It just looked like we couldn't get it together. And then it was all this infighting, and he figured it all out. He had to take a little bit of time to understand what was happening. Once he did, he knew how to use the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that kills us is we don't have the depth. I don't know if the people we picked up, like I said earlier, is going to help us out of depth, but at least it proves the guy can coach, if nothing else, right? It saves him. So it's certainly better than Randy fucking Whitman, that moron. I hated him for years.
There's another words. I haven't had a coach that I disliked. I got Hoiberg now.
Oh, God.
Having Tibbs for so long because I hated Vinny Del Negro.
Oh, Del Negro was an idiot.
Fucking hated. His substitution patterns made no sense. Watching the game, it's like, why the fuck is this guy checking in? And then, boom, suddenly we're down 6 points. It'd be like, no shit. You checked in a guy in a situation where we need to make a defensive stand who is good at offense and is a sieve on defense. Oh, fucking great, man. Just doing that shit all the time. And now to have Hoiberg, to go from Whitman to Brooks, it's a great feeling. Like the stewardship of the team is in hands that I trust.
Yeah.
Whether or not we can do anything dramatic with that talent, who knows? That's kind of out of the coach's hands on some level.
We've had shitty coaches for years in Washington, man. Even Wes Unseld was shit. What's his face?
Doug Collins.
Doug Collins was shit. Like all these guys came in, and it was the players. It was Arenas carrying us all those leagues. It wasn't all those years. It wasn't fucking Doug Collins. So we've had Bertie Bickerstaff, like idiots like that, come and play, and it's like I don't want to bash these guys because they obviously know basketball and they're good assistant coaches, but they're not head coaches, man. And you can see the difference.
Yeah, there's only
the class.
At any given time in the NBA, there's only like 5 to 7 truly exceptional coaches.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's like a middle class, and then just I'm surprised you have this job. It doesn't. Right. You don't seem to be as. But it's also a product of like situation. Like look at Belichick. He started off at what was it, Philly? Cleveland. That's right. And it was not a good tenure.
7 and 9.
Yeah, and then leaves there and goes to New England. You're like, really, this guy? But it's just like the situation wasn't right, and he got out. Like, not to say that these guys couldn't move on and do something dramatic thereafter, but currently, there's 5 to 7. You got like Spoelstra and Popovich and Carlisle, and I'll take Brad Stevens.
Steve Kerr.
Yeah, Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
Brooks is in the discussion. I don't think he's quite there, but he's in the discussion of I like him. D'Antoni's the same way.
Sure. I think Billy Donovan's doing nice work with OKC.
Sure, and like Tibbs is in the discussion, but he's not there.
Absolutely.
But then like after that drop-off, it's just like, I wouldn't, if I had one of those coaches, I wouldn't trade him for, 15 of the coaches in the league.
Yeah. I will say my dark horse in the West is Phoenix. I do think Phoenix has possibilities, in my opinion.
You want to put some money on it?
No, I'm going to put a lot of money on it. I'm already going to lose money to Christian because I bet on
You're going to lose that.
McGregor.
I told you that making that bet. You're going to lose that.
I don't know. I like long shots, man. I bet on myself. I was an underdog. I like betting on underdogs.
Yeah, I mean, you made a value bet.
Yes.
If it pays off, it is justifiable for what you put in as stakes.
Exactly.
But you were literally going to have to pay for stakes.
I will.
It's unfortunate, but there's just no way.
That's a great point, man. That's a great point. Do you have a dark horse? Anybody that you think might be popping up out of nowhere? There's always one team every year.
I mean, it's got to be somebody in the West because everybody in the East you already kind of know about.
Yeah.
Phoenix isn't bad. I just don't buy it. I think they're going to try and bottom out one more time.
I like the coach. I like that coach.
Sure. I like Devin Booker a lot.
Yeah.
But I think Bledsoe wants to move on. Brandon Knight wants to move on.
Yeah.
Tyson Chandler is a year older.
I don't understand that at all. Yeah, the Tyson thing. Yeah.
It could have been interesting.
Yeah.
Like Devin Booker is their future, and I don't know what else they surround him with.
Oh wait, what about Dallas? Do you think Dallas does anything?
No.
Unfortunately,
Dirk's potentially his final year.
Yeah. Is
going to be on a team that doesn't make the playoffs. Probably end up 10th.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Do you buy his championship?
What do you mean?
Do you think he won his championship, or do you think Cleveland or Miami hadn't gelled quite enough yet to be
Wow, I see where you fall in this argument. Just by the phrasing of the question. So you just felt that it was Miami's missed chance.
Yeah.
And Dallas was undeserving?
I know. I don't say it was undeserving because they beat the Lakers. They beat Kobe and the Lakers in the playoffs. They earned their shot. I thought they were a good team, definitely, but I think Miami mentally wasn't 100% gelled, or else they wouldn't have lost that game too, and I think they would have smoked them. I really do. I think they would have smoked them because LeBron is a power, And I don't think they had anyone else other than Dirk who could match up with LeBron mentally. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, Jason Terry's one of those irrational confidence guys, and they had Tyson Chandler in there. But I still think Miami could have exposed them if they had the mental thing in the right place. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but Miami hadn't figured out how to get the aggregate parts around those three.
That's what I mean.
To build the proper team.
Right.
So
they were still figuring it out.
Yeah. Dallas and Nowitzki and everybody on there, they constructed a team that won a championship, so I can't take it away from it. Plus, I love Dirk.
Yeah, I know. Dirk's a great guy.
Yeah, the fact that he's got a championship is great.
It's a good thing.
He's one of the best power forwards.
Yeah.
Just guy's a lights-out shooter for a 7-footer. I mean, that's a Hall of Fame.
He changed the game.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
This
now,
fucking
like
German.
every European coming in, it's like that's a kind of a Dirk Nowitzki is. He is now an archetype that you want to strive for.
Yeah.
I think it was well-deserved.
Okay.
A year later, if you took them at their championship peak against, in transplant, time travel, one team into the next era, Miami wins that.
Is there anyone in the league that you would like to see win a championship before they get it? Like right now, it's almost near the end of their situation.
Oh, shit, give me a second to think. You got one? Because near the end, it's like somebody. I'd like to see Carmelo on a relevant team.
I would like to see that too, man. I think he's paid his dues for being in basketball prison for making some of the dumb decisions he's made.
For being selfish and wanting the money.
Yeah. And I also
paid
think
the price.
I also think his wife played a factor in that too. And now they're divorcing, which is the ironic nature of the whole situation. I think she wanted to go to New York for her career. It makes sense. It's his wife. He wants to support her rather. Yeah, he's from New York. It makes all the most sense.
If you can do it there, you will go down a golden god.
Right. But if he had been more pragmatic and smarter and more of
waited a year,
hard ass,
Denver.
He'd have been exactly. Or he'd have gone to Chicago.
Yeah,
that would have been
made the shift to Chicago. That team would have been really interesting.
I don't think Derek gets hurt if he plays if Carmelo comes to Chicago.
I still think Derek gets hurt.
You do?
Just because
it takes the offensive workload off of him more.
True, but it's his physical failure was a matter of his mechanics and not his usage.
His body mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The way he jumps and then lands is such a catastrophic event every time that when you go back and someone points it out, like I saw a YouTube video breaking down of like, this is why he more than likely, this is why he blew his knees out.
Yeah.
And it's just a system of, or not a system of, but a sequence of clips over and over of like landing, and if that bends just a couple more degrees, that's a hyperextension.
Yep.
And there's numerous examples, and you're just like that. Yeah, this wasn't a workload on Tibbs' part. Now, Noah, I think you drove him into the ground.
Yes.
He could have had 5 more years of being supremely relevant had you just dialed his minutes back to 32 a night, 30 a night.
It's amazing. Yeah,
it sucks, man, because I hated him at Florida.
Oh my God, yeah.
With a passion.
Of course.
And then we drafted and was like, fuck. Literally, I was like the only guy, because I was still kind of watching college basketball at that point. He's like, he's the only dude I hate this year. Yeah. And then once we got him, I was like, this is one of my favorite players I've ever had on my team. He plays
his heart out, man. Yep. And he loves to play.
And he psychologically, I love that he's like, fuck LeBron. I don't give a shit if you are better than me. Fuck you. I'm not going to just kowtow to you because you have more talent.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
But I also think that's the thing that's will always separate LeBron for me from Jordan, even from Durant. I think LeBron has this passive aggressive gear that it's just in him, and it's not anything you can take out of his personality. Mm-hmm. Part of what drives him is those moments when he gets really focused. There's no one better on the earth.
Yeah.
Like what he did with turning that 3-1 deficit into a 4-3 victory. You can never take, if he never wins another championship, I don't think you can denigrate him in any way, shape, or form.
That was
it. He needed to show that he could come back in a situation like that once and for all. Like the Red Sox coming back 3-1 on the Yanks.
Yeah.
They had to do that, win the championship. Then it was done, right? You couldn't say anything negative about him anymore. I think the same thing with LeBron. Unfortunately, he has that gear. But I also think he's a victim of circumstance in these situations, too. He constructs these teams in a certain way, but then you have San Antonio, you have Golden State, these fully mechanized teams that know how each other plays to the minutest degree.
But how can you call him a victim of circumstances when he's the one that created the circumstances?
That's what I mean.
You can't be
that's
a victim
a good point.
of the situation that you created for yourself. That's just a byproduct of your actions.
That's a very good point, Matt. So he's a byproduct of his actions. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in the
and he obviously knows what he's doing because he does build championship teams to a degree. Yeah.
Look,
with
he's
Miami
a pantheon
and Cleveland.
talent.
Yeah. He'd be the first ever to win for 3 teams. If he wins it, if he goes on the Lakers or somebody else,
somewhere else,
yeah, and wins it, he'd be the first player ever to win 3 different titles for 3 different teams. 3 titles with 3 different teams.
Well, because now, that gets into the discussion of people that already consider him the greatest.
Yeah. What?
I know some. They're younger.
They must be.
Well, they grew up with, but actually, a friend of mine, we were having this discussion a couple weeks ago playing basketball. It was between games. We were sitting there shooting the shit, and out of 16, 20 of us, 2 guys, one of which I know watches as much basketball as anybody.
Yeah.
He was like, LeBron is the best player, and he's 32, 33, so he watched, some of Jordan. He knows what he's talking about on some level. Maybe he's a little bit older, but not by much. But he's like, LeBron's still the best player I've seen. It's just like, it's just not there for me.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't think I'd see anybody even come close.
Right.
And the fact that I'm more than happy to say I believe LeBron is the second best player I've ever seen.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to make a case of anybody else. If you're drafting a team, I take Jordan first.
Every time.
But I can't think of another player that I take over LeBron.
Nope. Not Oscar Robertson, not...
Yeah, I didn't see those guys play.
Not Kareem, not any of those guys.
Not Kareem, not Magic, not Larry.
Nope.
Not
Bird.
Yeah, not Bird, not Dr. J, not any of those guys. Russell, not...
Yeah.
Like...
Wilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in Shaq and Kobe, and you can keep going down this list. Tim Duncan, the names don't stop ending.
Yeah.
And now there's just nobody that I would take over him. And that tells me something. But at the same time, I still draft Jordan number 1, and I don't even question it.
I agree.
It's the safest, easiest choice.
Mm-hmm. No one's more determined to win.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like,
never seen in the history.
People I've heard people make the argument of like, oh, Jordan didn't shoot the 3 all that well. Like, listen, if the 3s were part of the game, Jordan would then be at the gym every day in the off season. Like, oh, it's my kid's birthday. Well, unless the kid wants to have the birthday at the court, I can't make it that day. Like, that's what I didn't know as a kid until I got older. Like, he was a dick.
Yeah.
There's a reason he was so good. He was singularly focused on being the greatest.
Yep.
And just LeBron doesn't have that drive. He wants to be liked.
Mm-hmm. LeBron's like Magic.
Yes.
But Magic understood how to play the game off the court better than LeBron, image-wise. And he went. Did you watch that 30 for 30
argument?
Did you watch that 30 for 30 on the Celtics Lakers, the 3-parter?
No.
Oh, Knost. It's beautiful. 6-hour doc.
I've watched so many documentaries on that.
6 hour. It's a 6-hour doc, though, man. It's just about the series, those 3 series that they were in.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's all they cover. They start at the beginning with.
I'll watch one when I get home tonight.
Dude, I'm telling you, you will love the fucking shit out of this, and the footage they have, and the interviews they get. It's all new perspectives, new approaches to this rivalry, and it's just the series, and they go game by game. Which I sat and watched it over 2 days, and I just had a stupid fucking grin on my face, just remembering the times that I loved the NBA this much. And it's coming back around. Like, the fact that we're doing this podcast means I'm back in love with the NBA now more so, because I see the game changing in a way that's fun to watch and interesting to see.
It's accessible to any fan, whether or not you're a big stat person or whatnot. Now with all the stats, the advanced metrics, and everything by which we can judge and gauge players.
Yeah.
Compare their stats to historical figures and whatnot. It just gets more and more interesting that way, but also just from a visceral or aesthetic sense, when you watch the game, the kinetic energy has actually been amped up by just, unfortunately, reducing the effectiveness of defenses and allowing offenses to open up.
Yeah.
Fans like offense. It
Absolutely.
makes it more entertaining game.
Of course. In any sport.
Exactly. More scoring equals more excitement and better.
Yeah.
So that, and it's also not we need a big man to just barrel into people down low.
Right.
Now it's a skill and grace game.
Yep.
Where it's shooting and passing and driving to the hoop. And I mean, there are moments as a fan, I don't know if the casual fan would even notice, where guys are going in for layups wide open and they'll pass it up because there's a wide 3 in the corner.
Yeah.
Even though that is a literally 100% sure shot.
Yeah.
There's nobody on you. I've 2 or 3 times last season I saw someone blatantly do that. Kyrie was one of them.
Yeah.
Who's going in for a layup. There isn't a defender for 3 feet, and he is in the air to shoot it, and he sees an open shooter in the 3 in the corner and dishes it over to him. And the announcers are even like, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Where it's that blatant, you're playing the statistics.
Yep. That's interesting.
And I can't remember if it paid off or not. I don't believe it did.
Right.
But that at times is like, wow, we're not even playing like the game anymore. Now the game is like a chess.
Yeah.
We're just trying to advance.
Well, and I also think now we see, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, it's a 12-month league now.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only sport that can make itself a 12-month league because the season is so long, and people love NBA players. Like, people love baseball, sure, and people love football. But football's only 16
I think football will be dead in 20 years.
Yeah, well, there's like the NFLPA or whatever the union.
Yeah, I said
people
I
are
don't
saying.
care if it's around.
Yeah,
I agree
man.
with them.
Well, the statistics coming out of the concussion thing, the CTEs, like, you see these guys retiring younger and younger. You don't see that happening in basketball.
No.
And it's a thing. And they what the statistic is, if 10% of the mothers ever decide to not have their kids play football, the sport is dead.
And
10%, that's all it takes.
like, my sister's got a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And talking to, her husband.
Yeah.
And saying, now, will you let him play football if he wants to? And he's like, I'm going to do everything in my power to discourage him from playing it.
Right.
And he played football. I played football growing up.
Yeah.
Everybody I know did. But if I had kids, I would do the same thing. I'd be like, you have no idea the amount of damage that if you take a serious enough hit when you're in high school, that can have a lasting effect on you the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can disrupt your cognitive ability going forward, and now you're going to lead a lesser life because you wanted to play this game.
I think people are going to retire earlier and earlier every year to where football is like a 5-year fucking career. That you make your money, you become a star, and then you're out. And I think like the fact that Roethlisberger, I don't know, Rodgers is the anomaly. He wants to play till he's 45 or whatever.
Yeah, and Brady.
And Brady, right. Those guys. But also the league protects their fucking darling quarterbacks.
Interest better than anybody else.
Of course. But like Roethlisberger is the kind of guy that's taken a lot of hits. And the fact that his wife he's mentioning it in interviews, how his wife's been saying to him, like, I want you to quit. Like, I want you to be done with it. So we could have a life and we can.
Because I'm sure she already sees him like,
of course,
Tuesday morning waking up and he needs 3 pain pills just to get the fuck out of bed.
Right. Or he has these mood swings that they don't understand or whatever. Like, it's certainly possible.
Yeah. And it's like he's had 7 knee surgeries. Mm-hmm. You think that, that now is all scar tissue.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better with age. And you're hobbling around like an 80-year-old and you're 32.
Yeah.
Just like, I feel so bad for him. Like, every time when I'm watching football now, every play, I'm not kidding. I'm like, there's a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
Oh, he's walking. Okay. But the hits are so violent now, I can't not see some of the terrible things that I've seen over the years. It's just, I don't know how this sport survives and how the owners can sit back and be like, oh, guys, we need more money. We need more of this.
Right.
It's going to be justification for them for doing what the NBA is doing, slapping advertising on, oh, you want shorter careers and more money? Fine.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't even see. And then how do you justify it to college kids at that point?
Who was it? Was it Indiana who has the Western Union on their? Who is it? It's like one of the NBA teams has a logo on.
I know some of
the
like at practices, a bunch of NBA or NFL teams, but NBA this year it's going to be GE on the Celtics, Goodyear on the Cavs. I think Minnesota has Fitbit. Not every team has it. I think like 35% of the teams have it. There are some random ones, and you're like, really, Fitbit?
I think the Pacers have something. I can't remember what it is.
Pacers very well could.
Yeah.
I believe, let's see, Utah has one.
Yeah.
None of the biggest big boys, as far as I know, like New York, Chicago, L.A.
Yeah.
Don't think any of them have it yet.
I was shocked that my Liverpool English Premier Football team has a Western Union patch on their sleeves. I'm like, what the fuck, Western Union, England? But I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. It's so interesting.
Or internationally.
Yeah, internationally, possibly. All right, that's. I think we're good. We talked. Anything else you want to discuss in the NBA? I think we've done it,
Yeah,
right?
I think we hit on.
So you think the
NBA.
Warriors are going to win?
As of right now, sure.
Yeah, you feel that way. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, Eastern Conference is interesting on some level at the very top.
Yeah.
I can't wait for opening night where it's Boston versus Cleveland.
Wade gets bought out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't been done.
Before? Do you think before the All-Star break, or do you think before the season starts?
I am surprised it hasn't happened. So I would say before the season starts.
Wow. Okay.
Why not just? Why?
Does he go to Cleveland, or does he go to Houston?
I don't know.
Or LA,
I mean, all the talk
Clippers?
is Cleveland. Cleveland is a much better chance to make the finals again.
Sure.
Whereas if you're on Houston, you still have to go through the buzzsaw that is the Warriors. So
Yeah.
I would possibly go to Cleveland.
Yeah, I'll go to Cleveland
Houston
too.
probably be a more fun town to live in, but
Yeah.
when you're comparing it to Miami or Chicago, I don't think that's really a fair comparison, especially Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Chicago, but
Don't get me wrong.
Miami is Miami.
Yeah. He ain't coming to the Wizards, that's for sure.
No.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to the Outlaw Nation podcast. Matt, I want to thank you very much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, please. Where can people find you, man?
Find me on Twitter or Instagram at Matt Knost. That is MATTKNOST. Stay tuned for our potential It review on an Outlaw Nation.
That's right. That's
if we
right.
managed to see it in a good enough time.
We've talked about that. And guys, please listen to the SK Plus podcast channel. All the great shows on there. Our top 10 show is on there. The Schmodown Rundown, After Schmo, Don't Be a Beardo, The Wanger Show. So many great shows on there. Please patronize those shows, follow them, leave comments, and promote Outlaw Nation. Like, I know Top 10 came back. People are loving Top 10. But, my little Outlaw Nation podcast leaves a little love as well. Please give it. Tell people to listen, support it. Send me your questions. Send me your DMs. Yeah, I know I didn't say anything too, inspirational, supportive this time around. But sometimes it's good to take a little bit of a break and just kind of talk a little NBA with my boy Matt. So please keep patronizing the show and supporting the show and tell people about the show. And then we'll be back next week to talk some more stuff. And I think David Griffin's coming on to talk Premier League next week. So we'll have a little bit of that as well. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Have a great week.